I really just let a medium ugly man make me sit here all day wondering if he's going to text me? What's wrong with me?
Welcome to The Wall. Today, we will see several women complaining about men for various reasons, and even saying they would rather go with a bear. But we will also see a woman crying over her divorce, showing her method of healing. You know that with her, it's all about money. We want to invite you to smash that like button, support the movement, and subscribe to the channel. That's the only contribution we ask from you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Leave your experience in the comments for any man who needs it. Without further introduction, let's begin.
8 months ago, I left a narcissistic relationship that was mentally and physically abusive. It rocked my world and made me question everything about myself. Once I finally was able to get out, I knew there was a deeper meaning behind this. That relationship brought me to my knees, but there at my rock bottom is where I found Jesus. I spent 5 months in isolation by myself with nothing or no one but God, my Bible, and me. I kept asking God to help me understand why I kept finding myself in toxic relationships. I wanted it to stop. During those 5 lonely months being alone, God told me to write a book and that He would help me share my message. I trusted Him, and because of that, within 2 months, I wrote my first book. It was the most liberating feeling of my life to share my story, and through sharing my story, God healed me. He gave me a purpose for my rock bottom. He turned my mess into a message, and now I am ready to share it with the world to help other people heal after a toxic relationship or get out if you're currently in one. If God could heal me through my situation, He can and will heal you. If this is you right now, let me encourage you that what you're about to go through will be your greatest breakthrough and your biggest blessing. I know you might not believe that right now, but God is going to use the mess you're in, and He's going to turn it around for your good. Trust me when I say you will have better days than the mess that you are currently in.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Crying on the internet has become cheap marketing. God guided and saved me from that abuser, which is why I wrote a book about my experiences to help you too. But isn't it better to go to a psychologist? No, better come for my cheaper book because it has the best solution. But isn't a restraining order better? No, better come for my mentorship. I really have the solution to your problems. Remember, it was God who spoke to me. I don't know who is more stupid, the one who sells this cheap story or the one who buys it. Why do they all come out with an abuser? I haven't seen a single woman in this country who hasn't divorced one. But instead of seeking real help, like going to the police or a psychologist, the solutions are always a book or giving mentorships and holding conferences. The best of all is recording themselves crying to seek attention. That's why I don't believe any of this. Because if you're monetizing your great suffering, then you're not suffering at all. You were just in a business process, doing an internship. That's why people don't believe women who come with the victim story anymore, because it's simply marketing what they do with this.
This is the story of what sent me into therapy, and it is a dilemma I still have not figured out the right answer to. I got married when I was 22 to my high school sweetheart, and I had been really close with his family for a long time. His mom was someone who I really looked up to. She owned her own business, and she was one of the few female role models that I had. Over the years, I eventually ended up working for her in her marketing agency. It started out great. I really loved the job and I liked working for her. And then over time, it just got worse and worse. Until one day I ended up finding something out about her that truly threw me into a spiral. And to this day, I don't know if I made the right decision. But this is the story. All of us at the marketing agency were in her email. Like, she logged us into her email on all of our computers. She was the face of the agency, so we would often correspond with clients and other people as her. One day, I was searching for something in her email, and I ended up coming across 13 years worth of emails with her and a lover. Now, remember, I was married to her son, and she was happily married to my husband at the time's dad. They had been married for, I don't know, 20 or 30 years, and they had 4 kids. They were still married, but I found 13 years worth of emails between her and this guy. Here's the catch, is at the time I found it, it looked like the affair had ended 2 years ago. My husband's relationship with his mom meant everything to him. They were very close. And so my question was, what do I do? Like, do I say something to her? Do I tell my husband? Do I confront, like, do I say something to his dad? Think about everything that was weighing on this decision. Like, I could have potentially broken up a marriage, a family, ruined my career. I could have ruined my husband's relationship with his mom. There was just so much at stake. And I think the big thing was, like, it wasn't still going on. So what would you have done if you had been me in this situation?
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Learning not to get involved in matters that don't concern me, that's the problem with people, especially women who love gossip. But it makes me laugh because one would wonder what she did. But watching the video, we know she sang like a parrot. But notice something. Most of these empowered and successful women usually cheat on their partners because women these days are competing with men. They generally want to do everything a man does, which is why you see these women in offices, a sector now dominated by women. They see those male interns, those men who still have a job, and brothers, they won't hesitate to open their legs for them. Why do you think the stereotype of the boss sleeping with the secretary exists? It wasn't invented out of nowhere. Now imagine a woman in a position of power, having all the control over all the men. Seeing these young guys fresh out of university who will do anything to keep a job, these women with money, who give all kinds of gifts for him to relieve her stress. Why do you think they never stay married long? They're in the most unfaithful professions, or many get married at work. Brothers, stereotypes exist for a reason. About this woman who spilled the beans, I hope she's happy for ruining another woman, and then they talk about solidarity among women.
Breaks my heart when people get divorced and I hear that their kids are 1, 2, 3 years old. You know, you hear this thing where people say, oh, we didn't get divorced because of the kids. Like, it wasn't the kids' fault, but kind of was. Parenting shook you. Like, parenting shook your marriage. Parenting revealed faults and cracks that maybe you didn't know were there. Well, it's not the kid's fault, but having a child might have been. I don't know that me and my husband sometimes would have made it if we weren't Christians, or if we didn't have a really big support system around us. Those first couple of years were hard. You're contemplating divorce and you're still in that stage where you have these young children at home. Just step back a little bit and think. And I also say this to the other people who are thinking about having children, thinking that everything's going to be great and dandy. Kids are amazing and fun and a wonderful, amazing gift from God, but it does not make things easier. It reveals weaknesses in you that you did not know were there. Kids are a blessing from God, but they are a challenge that reveal failures and that ultimately strengthen us, glorify God better, but we need to allow Him to work through it. Don't give up. It gets easier, but it gets harder first.
We all know that hormones in women bring many mood changes, especially during and after pregnancy. Many women also end up somewhat traumatized, apart from exhaustion and lack of sleep, and also the changes in their bodies. As a man, I tell all men to have a bit of patience with women, but men usually do. The problem is that sometimes, as men, we only focus on a woman having a pretty face and ignore other factors when choosing a woman to have children with. A piece of advice I give is to always watch your girlfriend's reaction when she is around children, usually nieces and nephews. If you don't see any maternal instinct, if the kids aren't happy to be with their aunt, if she's not affectionate, even if she says she wants to have kids in the future, be alert. It might be a platonic desire, not the desire of a mother who really wants to care for them. Above all, men, if your relationship with a woman isn't going well, if she doesn't treat you with respect, doesn't perform acts of service, isn't somewhat feminine with you, or doesn't show you her appreciation, having a child won't improve that situation. It will only make everything worse. Knowing how this country treats fathers, I would say pay attention to the signs.
Easy is your answer, then honestly, I'm grateful that you've lived such a privileged life that your answer.
Hey bud, I can do one better for you. The reason I would pick the bear is because my husband used to be a criminal defense lawyer before he became a judge. And I always wondered why he was terrified about the thought of me walking around downtown Atlanta by myself after court and at night with my friends and things like that. And so he told me a little story. He told me a story about a man and a woman that were walking in downtown Atlanta, far away from every bear that you could possibly imagine. And a man with a gun came upon this couple and began to chase them. He shot the man in a leg, I think, and so he couldn't continue running. And while he was robbing the man, the woman continued to run to safety. She ran, she came across a railroad track, and the railroad track was surrounded by a fence, like a wire fence that you have to climb. And so to get away from the man with a gun that had just shot her husband that she was with, she climbed the fence, fell onto a railroad track, where she broke her leg. She was laying there on a railroad track with a broken leg while her husband was, 100 yards or so away, being robbed by a man that had just shot him. Along come two men. And she says, please help me, my leg's broken, my husband is back there, he's been robbed, he's been shot. And the two men, both of them, proceeded to rape her. So tell me in what circumstance a woman wouldn't take the bear.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
So, you prefer a bear? It could be in this country or any country in the world. There are evil people, and this goes both ways. But to say that all men are what you just described is very offensive. Why don't you also analyze that there was a man who put his body on the line to save his wife? The first reaction of his wife wasn't to try to help her husband, but to help herself, leaving her husband for dead. I'm not blaming them, but in the story, there was also an injured man. Was this man also abusive? Was this man evil when he was giving his life for his wife? The woman ended up in a bad situation. Who knows what kind of man she encountered after breaking her leg? It could have been one of those vagabonds sleeping in the train station, who only live consuming substances, who are mentally unstable. Of course, no one can think of that. Only that all men are more dangerous to women than a bear. When today women live in a golden bubble made by men, have more rights thanks to men, and have a city that protects them thanks to men. But because of isolated cases, all men are bad? As if there aren't prisons that also have women who have harmed men, but of course, not all women are guilty or accused of being dangerous because of that.
One thing that the covert narcissist does that is so insidious and you don't quite even realize when you're in it, but after they've got you running around crazy, I really feel like it's after they know they have you and you are just chasing after trying to make them happy, but you can't. You can never actually do enough. So you start to cope. And at first, when you start coping with either drinking or smoking or watching too much TV or eating a lot of food or whatever it is, whatever your coping mechanism is to deal with this, at the beginning, they will be supportive of you, probably because they just broke the shit out of you and so they're trying to be nice. So they will be like, yeah, I'm doing that with you. And then as time goes on, they stop doing it and then they start not only criticizing you about it, but they quit doing it and they have the attitude of, it's easy. I'm not doing it. Why are you doing it? It's so easy. Look, I just didn't drink at all today. I mean, it's so easy. Just as like this extra little fucking dig of, I'm better than you. And make you feel their shame, because truly they are fucking coping. They are coping by beating verbally the shit out of you. And they get this little dopamine hit. They're addicted to their power, to their insecurities, to all their stupid shit that they are so powerless to, that they have to flip it and criticize you as though your way of coping with their abuse is weak. but they can't even do it themselves. Because trust me, when they're presented with an opportunity to not, that power, that insecurity, that fear just takes over and they get their little dopamine hit. So just remember, however you're dealing with this, you're a fucking powerhouse. You're amazing and you're valid, and it does not matter what you need to do to cope with this abuse while you're in it, because you're amazing. They can't even compete.
Stop it. Get some help.
What is most ruining relationships today is women's victimhood and men's lack of tolerance. Because to be with a woman today, a man has to develop patience and tolerance. Otherwise, it won't last. And I can assure you that if you take a statistic among all married couples on who endures more insults, dramas, tantrums, or fights, and who provokes them more, women win by a landslide. But remember, when a man gets tired of hearing complaint after complaint about everything that makes a woman unhappy, which is almost anything, and responds, then he is a narcissistic, controlling, and abusive person. But while he listens to daily insults for various things, he's not the bad guy. Women aren't narcissistic. Why do you think there's a saying that when a woman stops fighting or complaining, it's because she no longer loves you? It's funny because when a woman finally shuts up, it's because she wants to leave the relationship. Ironic, which is why, as a man, it's crucial to develop patience and tolerance. But as I said, women are the only ones who understand that marriage is for them to be happy. Women are also the ones who choose the man they want to be with. Sometimes they choose those toxic types, the classic Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table but his seed. At first, they love all that toxicity, but after years in a relationship, they hate the man for the same qualities they fell in love with. But as we know, responsibility is kryptonite for women.
I'm looking for a laid-back mom friend. Won't judge. Play dates. Doesn't get mad when I forget to text you back for 5 to 7 business days because I looked at the text and I was about to respond, but then the baby was crying and the toddler was about to off the counter, so I set my phone down and I completely forgot until a week later when I went to send you a funny TikTok and saw that I never responded in the first place.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we will see modern women expressing their expectations from men, claiming that they deserve high-value men. We'll also discuss how dating with modern women can be a disaster. We want to invite you to smash that like button. Let's support the movement. Subscribe to the channel. That's the only contribution we ask from you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Share your experiences in the comments for any man who might need them. Without further introduction, let's begin.
Oh, I'm totally flexible as long as everything goes exactly the way I want it to go. I've had a chance to look at the menu ahead of time. I know where to park. I know the weather and the overall vibe for the day, so then I can pick out the perfect outfit. I've been given sufficient warning about who's going to be there, and I've had enough caffeine that I'm awake, but not too much that I'm extra anxious. Other than that, totally flexible.
Okay, so you're telling me that I've not eaten all day, I've gone to the gym, I've come in and had an everything shower, and I mean fucking everything. I have shaved my body head to toe to every inch of its fucking life. I have moisturised and oiled up. I smell unreal. I even got a new perfume. I have spent over an hour doing my hair and makeup. I've had about 7 tantrums trying to pick a nice outfit. I've packed a bag. I've even got a matching fucking set on. I've left the house for him to text me to cancel and ask if it's okay to reschedule. I'm done.
This really angers a woman, that she prepares to give everything to Chad that night, and then he cancels on her and wants to reschedule the date. It's always explained here that the greater a woman's interest in you, the bigger the discount, because a woman will do anything for a man she genuinely cares about. Now, I want you to notice something. A woman feels anxious when going out with a man because she wants to have control of the date. That's why when a man takes her to a coffee date or a low-cost place, she gets upset. She spins on her appearance and expects you to put effort into the date. But here's the thing. The image is either to look beautiful for you or to try to get good photos for her Instagram. I always recommend that the first date be at a coffee shop. There are many beautiful cafes where you can have a date and spend little because the intention is to get to know each other, not to impress her simps on Instagram. Many women hate this as much as being canceled on because they don't get the good photo and they're not interested in you. You're not even worth the free meal. That's why, brothers, always go to the date thinking about your interests. If she refuses a humble date with you, at least don't be the simp who pays for the free meal.
There's one saying that has stuck by me for the last 10 years. Why this one has always really stood out to me. It's something that I so strive to do in my life. I neither have both, or I'm neither am both. But I don't know. When I finally make this happen, I feel like I'll be good. I'll be good in life. So yeah, basically since I was like 19, I've been saying it. Two simple things: Porsche and a hot wife. I said it. It's out there. It's in the universe. It's coming towards me. Let me explain it, because you're probably like, what? Always wanted to be the hot wife. That ring on my finger, right smack there. Big fat ass rock. Being claimed by a man, not controlled by a man. Hold up. Being someone's person. Hot fucking wife. Skinny legend as well. And then the Porsche thing, I don't know why I've been obsessed with like Porsches for the longest time. I am a total Porsche girly. Like, sorry, none of that Cayenne shit. 911 girly, okay? Me rocking up, top down, my weaves in the fucking wind, and I'm just like, hey Sandra, how are the kitties? You didn't fucking call me, you wench. Anyway, that is the era, that is the manifestation, that is what I strive to be. I love it. Some people want to be a professional athlete. Some people want to go into marketing. I want to be the hot wife of some fucking sexy banker, hedge fund manager. We have this crazy passionate sex. We don't have any children because we're cool and we just feel like doing us. And I'm just his Porsche driving little babe, Porsche and a hot wife. It is as simple as that.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
And as the saying goes, dreaming costs nothing, but what's better than dreaming of being the hot wife driving a Porsche? And then they say they're not interested in money, but those are their dreams, you can't take them away. What makes me laugh is how women always want to have the great life without contributing anything. She wants to be the Porsche girl, not because she earned it by working, not because she put in the effort, not because she started a business, not because she helped a man improve himself. She wants a millionaire handed to her. As the saying goes, there are things money can't buy, but for everything else, there's pussy cards. That's why I say that a high-value man is the one who truly has the most value in the relationship. Because to achieve the same thing, you have to work for it, but they just have to be pretty. So never let a woman manipulate you if you're the one with the money, because you are the one who has true value here.
I always say that high-value men are more likely to be cheated on back. They just don't realize it, especially in Dubai.
Why?
Because the women they choose.
What?
The women, when you're a broke man, you're limited in terms of the women you can access.
Yeah.
You can only access the limited range of women. So you're only going to access a simple kind of woman because you're a simple man. That simple woman doesn't have many options. So you're both optionless and you're both good to go. You've got a connection, you're good to go. Now, if you are a high value man, let's say, for example, you're a George Clooney, you can access whoever you want in the world. No, whoever you want. So you could choose a Kim. If you're Kanye, you can choose a Kim. Do you think Kanye is the only rich man she knows?
No.
Do you think Kanye is the best she can get? She can get many of you. So what happens is, as a man becomes more successful, his criteria and selection of women becomes more provocative, promiscuous. It's usually the dream girl. That dream girl knows 10 of you.
Brother, the one with the demand gets to choose. For a man to be in the top 15% of the country, he has to bring a lot to the table, usually economically. For a woman to be around those men, she only has to be beautiful. But here's the thing. In 1 year, a man at that level can meet hundreds of beautiful women, but a woman will meet few men at that level. She has the competition of many women trying to catch that man's attention. Another thing is that over a 10-year period, that man can continue to increase his level, but a woman's beauty depreciates each year. Because every year, a beautiful woman turns 18. Just ask DiCaprio, the #1 creator of Alpha Widows. But to be one of those men, you must focus on yourself, work on your finances, your mind, and your body. Believe me, you have a wider window of time than a woman. You can work through your 20s and date a 20-year-old when you're in your 30s. That's the beauty of being a man.
I am currently manifesting a specific person. One of my favorite creators on manifestation and romantic relationships is Dylan James. I'm going to share something with y'all that he said the other day that clicked for me that I can share with you. He says when you're manifesting a specific person, you want to act as if you're already that person that has the thing that they want. Now, we hear this said all the time. But what this actually means when it comes to manifesting a specific person is not waiting around for that person to come back into your life. Who would Brianna be if she were living her life knowing that that man is going to show up into my life? I would be excited about life. I would be going on other dates. I wouldn't be worried about it. Because I feel like a huge misconception that we think about when manifesting a specific person is, do I go on other dates or do I not go on other dates? And it's not about going on the date itself, it's how does it make you feel? I think going on other dates helps us redirect our mind, and when you're focusing on self-concept, you can see how newer men are treating you and how that specific person is going to come back around. If you were already that woman who had their specific person, you would not be waiting and obsessing. And I loved that he said this. So again, all the credit to Dylan James. Go check out that video on his YouTube, and I hope this helps. I will also share with y'all when I have successfully actually physically manifested my specific person. It is very, very close.
Gotcha, bitch!
Can you imagine if a man released a video saying, while looking for your queen, date different toads to get to know yourself? This man would be burned all over the internet by the purple-haired group. But since it's a woman, it's okay to say, while manifesting the man of your dreams, go out and entertain yourself with the man of the moment. In a previous video, I mentioned the problem of choice that women face when they have so many options. This makes it difficult for them to choose one man, so they have to try several. That's why you see that on dating apps, conversations rarely go beyond 2 to 4 messages because she's talking to 7 others. She has demand. That's on Tinder, but there's also Bumble, Instagram, Facebook dating, and many more. In all of them, she has men behind her, choosing a man like that. But not just that, as a man, how do you feel knowing that you ended up with a woman who dated many others and that you are the man she manifested, with a body count higher than 30? And you were the lucky one, the beta provider, the savior of women? This must fill you with pride, right? I'll read your comments.
Here are some extreme red flags that I consider deal breakers when dating, and you will not be hearing from me if you have any of these. Men who tell me that hygiene is a huge deal breaker for them, because that's basics. And that tells me that you have had some issues in the past with some fishy. The number one thing to know when dealing with that issue is that it's your fault. See, women's areas are actually self-cleaning, and they do that by themselves. The issue that there is that creates this smell that men complain about is that they're not clean. They don't practice proper hygiene, okay? So once y'all wash your hands and wash your little areas, then you can talk to me about hygiene, okay? Another big one is body counts. We will not be discussing that ever. That's just like the most immature topic of conversation to ever exist. And I'm not here for the misogyny. Another one is a specific book. If you have read The 48 Laws of Power, I don't even want to be friends with you. Please just exit stage left out of my life. I never want to hear from you again. I never want to even smell you in my vicinity. If we're on a date, I will ask you a question. How do you feel about therapy? Your answer is very important. Basically, if it's anything besides, I love it, I'm a huge proponent, I think everybody should be in therapy, that's the only correct answer. If we're getting to know each other and I tell you that I enjoy cooking and you ask me when I'm going to cook for you, by using the word crazy to describe any of your exes, because you were probably the problem. Some honorable mentions are if you are outside more than 2 days a week, if you have a really weird attachment to your guy friends, it's more important to you to make them happy than your partner. Having an issue with extreme FOMO, you need to be in the mix and you need to be involved. Yeah, you're not for me, thank you. I mean, that's basically everything that I can think of. I think there's probably more. I'm sure there's more, but those are the big ones for me.
A 30-year-old woman setting conditions is nothing new under the sun. But now I ask myself, what do you offer? Because your red flag is surely out of the standards that the man you want has to meet. And then you wonder why you're single. The body count, although of interest to us men, if you ask a woman about it, that date is over. If therapy is important to her, that question makes me suspect that someone sent her to therapy at some point, and it was probably Chad. I won't argue about hygiene because it's something essential for any human being. But a red flag for me is if you ask me how important my friends are to me. This indicates to me that you are one of those women who want to separate a man from his inner circle to make him emotionally dependent on you. This is dangerous. Many men fall into this trap, leaving their friends and social circles for a woman. This allows her to always get into your head. You never get to see a different point of view because you have no one to clarify what's happening to you. It's manipulation. Besides, if she breaks up with you, you'll always end up crying because you have nothing left. Brothers, never leave your friendships for a woman unless they are toxic, because I tell you, this only makes a man emotionally codependent on the woman.
I just don't enjoy it. It's not an enjoyable experience for me, and I don't like any of you.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we will look at the dynamics of a relationship that motivate a man to become more masculine with his woman, and what actions women take that end up disconnecting a man from the relationship, making him less masculine with them. We want to invite you to smash that like button. Let's support the movement. Subscribe to the channel. That's the only contribution we ask of you. Man, add your grain of sand to the movement. Leave us your experience in the comments for any man who needs it. And without further introduction, let's get started.
My favorite book for understanding men and balancing masculine and feminine energy is this book, Getting to I Do. This is by Dr. Patricia Allen, and this is old school. It was published in 1994, and you guys, I read a lot of books, and I hear the same information over and over again. And this is one that I read last year, and I have read it like 7 different times. It's so different than what I see out there, and this book has gotten a lot of backlash, because it's very different than how modern dating works now. In the beginning, all what she talks about is how women were getting the shorter end of the stick, kind of because of the feminist movement. Because yes, even though we are capable of doing everything a man does, men have not taken on more responsibility. Instead, we have. So while we're all for making our own money, having the freedom to have sex with whoever we want, whenever we want, well, now we're not getting commitment for any of that stuff. And because of that, we've really become both the masculine and the feminine. And she was saying this back in 1994, and I think it's even more true now. This book also made me realize how masculine I was. And I really fell into that like girl boss hustle culture. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it was not making me truly happy. I hid behind that as a mask. I hid behind that because I was in survival mode and I did not trust or feel safe with anyone else to put me out of that. I always knew my future was dependent on me. And because of that, I became super harsh, super rigid. I thought I wanted to be with a masculine man, but I was always in competition with them. The only 2 things that could happen is that we were going to butt heads until we killed each other, or I was going to attract someone that I could bulldoze over. And that happened where I was the leader. It was my ideas. We went along with what I wanted to do. Sounds cool, but I ended up resenting them for not doing it. Without realizing, I was unwilling to step out of that role. So of course, I was going to attract the opposite polarity. And that all came down to my trauma and how unsafe I felt. I have a bunch of my favorite books, including this one linked to my Amazon store, and you can find that in my bio.
I agree with what you're saying. The purple hair movement has given women the ease to compete toe-to-toe with men. Nowadays, I dare say they even have more rights than men. But has that made them happy? No, because many take the path of leadership and their character becomes stronger. They become more liberal and have the mentality that if they want something, they buy it themselves. Sometimes, when they are with a man, they want to measure their strength against him. So, in relationships, they don't let the man lead. They don't want to do acts of service for him. And they are never sweet or affectionate with the man. Everything they do for them is not received with appreciation because they think they can do it themselves. In short, they see it as the least you can do. The other thing is that they complain about everything. They are not collaborative with the man's plan, but with their own plans. If you contradict them, they get angry. Do you see where I'm going? Many, if they manage to earn more money than the man, let me tell you that this is when the real hell is experienced. And they have a point. If you get involved with a self-sufficient woman in everything, as a man, you end up relaxing, you end up stepping back because you think she will take care of it. You don't hurry to do things because, when you did in the past, you saw that she didn't need you. And the man's mindset is very much tied to solving problems, trying to be useful to his wife, trying to make her life easier and receiving love from her. It's an exchange that has been this way since the beginning of time. But this movement damaged that dynamic.
If you want him obsessed with you forever, there's one simple rule you need to understand. For women, we need to simply be loved, like a lot, like crazy about you, and not understood very much, because you can't understand me with your male brain. Just know that it is what I said, what I want, and it's the most frustrating thing because they don't understand us. I don't know why we're very simple to understand, but just do what I want because you love me. You just adore me. Just adore me. Whilst for us, it's the opposite. You don't need to love him that much, not at the level of like obsession, and not at the level how you love your children and sacrifice everything for him. But you need to understand him, because if you understand him, you understand what makes him tick. You understand what makes him happy. You understand what makes him not happy. When you ask me, what do I do when he's broken a boundary? You need to understand what makes him unhappy too. So, therefore, if you want him to be obsessed with you and love you for a lifetime, you need to understand him, study him. You are Darwin and he is a new species. That's what you need to do. But don't love him too much. It's a waste of your time.
Fuck up, you crazy bitch whore!
Of course, the relationship as a transaction, where the definition of a good relationship is do what I want and give me love. It sounds like a perfect recipe for disaster. In short, it tells women to play with men, which is why this smoke seller gives such toxic advice, only keeping women single. And the irony here is that there are men who do this, just to see how the woman gets bored and leaves with someone who knows how to set boundaries. It's like they're following a manual on how to lose your partner's interest. You know why this is toxic advice? Because it tells women to manipulate the man and not fall in love with him. That's why you later see women entering relationships where they don't like the man, usually with the beta provider, the type who can be financially useful but doesn't awaken any passion. Because, of course, the motto is to manipulate the man and not fall in love with him. Thus, they end up in relationships where the woman doesn't feel genuine interest, just convenient comfort. Because, as the wise gurus say, don't love him too much, it's a waste of time.
Men and women fall in love differently. Now, guy or girl, if you're watching this, I'm going to say both sides. Now, these aren't things you can do or how you look. It's just straight hormonal facts. So, studies shown men fall in love when vasopressin is released, and women fall in love when oxytocin is released. These are just hormones. Now, oxytocin is released during breastfeeding, sexual activity, and giving labor. Those are just 3 examples. But other ways to release them are literally giving them cuddles, hug, sexual time, just loving them. And that's how girls fall in love. So vasopressin is released when you're in the sauna, you go to the gym, and when you cause stress on yourself. So men fall in love when they're stressed. And this kind of makes perfect sense because when I met my boyfriend for the first 3 months, we weren't that comfortable with each other. So I was not showing my real self and stressing him out. I was just playing it cool, so whatever. But then after those problems started coming and that stress that I low-key caused, I noticed a switch up. I was like, oh shit, this is kind of getting serious. So maybe this might be true. So if you're a girl, stress him out a bit, not in a bad way where he's gonna freaking run away, but just do a little fun stress. And for men, give her love. Women are so easy, they just want love. Men want to be stressed out to fall in love. Like what? Anyways, let me know if these are valid and what else I should make.
Oh my god, who the hell cares?
This only works with an insecure man, a simp, who is afraid of losing you because he thinks he won't find anything better afterwards. But a man who has reached a certain age is really looking for peace. And what is said about hormones and all that is simply that love is not felt in company, it is felt in solitude. When you miss that person and want to see them. Women, well, they have a bit of a hard time understanding this, but to make a man more interested in you, they must learn to have individual space. For men, it is essential to have individual spaces. We need to disconnect from problems, whether it's playing video games, having a drink at a bar, going to the gym. Anything that takes us out of the house and away from the woman for a while. It's so true that the only being capable of sitting for hours doing nothing is a man. This, of course, drives women crazy, as they are always active. When a woman is in love, she wants to be close to the man, which is why you see the dynamics when she likes a man and when she doesn't. When she doesn't like him, she almost always ignores him. When she does, she wants to know everything about his day. If they only understood that a little distance and solitude makes the heart grow fonder, we would have wonderful relationships, full of balance and respect.
Men don't fall in love through sex. They fall in love through the promises that they make and then keep to you. Now I'm about to give you a whole science lesson because you guys are out here getting it wrong and you're hurting yourself because of it. Now women do fall in love through sex. That's why whenever you hear someone like, oh no, it's going to be casual, I don't actually like him, like I'm gonna be player two, biochemically that's really hard because we release oxytocin. Oxytocin is your bonding chemical. It's why you feel close after sex. It's why you feel close during cuddling. Us women be firing off that oxytocin like crazy when we're in love. It's why he was kind of okay at first and now you're like, he's literally shit and I am so in love. Men release some levels of oxytocin after sex, but it's actually not what bonds them to someone. What bonds them to you, that commitment level, is vasopressin. So what happens in the beginning though, they are releasing testosterone. Testosterone is their pursue behavior. That's why, girlfriend, do whatever you want, but if you're wanting a guy to commit to you, sleeping with him in the beginning isn't the smartest thing too, because guess what? His levels of testosterone are the highest when pursuing, you get what you want, they just drop, which means right after sex, if it's in the beginning, he actually likes you less, unless vasopressin is released. But men have to develop vasopressin receptors for that to happen, and those take time to build. Testosterone does not create commitment. To them, it peaks, dips, okay, now they have to go find that thing that peaks their testosterone again. They already got the conquest over there. Say men fall in love through the commitments they make and keep because this is more of a sign of a vasopressin release. The other sign of vasopressin release is mate guarding behavior. That is very much, these are my resources, you cannot have them because I care about them. This chemical takes time to develop, but it's also the reason if you keep sleeping with someone who treats you like shit, who keeps breaking their promises to you, who breaks their commitments to you, who does not seem to care to commit to you, the vasopressin is not going to be meant for you. You cannot sleep your way with a guy into making him care. That's not how it works. And it's going to work the reverse for you if you're a woman, because you are going to be releasing all this oxytocin and you're going to be the one going through that heartbreak. And that shit's going to suck.
Based on what was said, we can infer why a woman should not be promiscuous and jump from one man to another, because she forms an emotional connection with the men she is with. That's why a woman with a lot of experience finds it harder to genuinely fall in love in the future, because she already belongs to the streets, and her threshold of tolerance has been lost. And she's right, we do feel more masculine when we are in the courting stages. As I said, men like to solve problems, so they look for strategies and try to woo a woman. For men, it creates the feeling of achieving a goal, but after they achieve it, it is usually the woman who has to learn to keep the man interested. And how does she do that? By respecting individual spaces, doing acts of service, and bringing peace to that man. Because when we are under the constant drama and stress from a woman, that hormone in men gets activated again, making us feel we have to solve this problem. And since we think quickly and simply, we understand that this woman only brings chaos to our lives. and we immediately discard her because she doesn't bring peace.
How to increase vasopressin so that man bonds to you. Here's the thing, as a woman, you shouldn't even be doing too much. Women who overdo it, they act like his mother. That decreases the hormones that we want to increase. Some of you are saying, oh, it's too many rules, I can't do it. When really, the way you can increase a man's bonding hormones is through the way you communicate. We've gotten it a little twisted. We all think we just have free filter to say whatever we want to anyone. And oh my gosh, if people tell us any type of rules and it's too much, I couldn't possibly do it. If that's working for you, go on ahead. But so many of us have not learned proper communication styles, proper relationship styles. We didn't have a healthy mother-father dynamic to model that for us. One of the ways vasopressin is released is through him accomplishing a task. So let him do stuff for you. Here's a psychology tip for you. Most people think, oh, if I do some nice things for people, they will like me more. Opposite is actually more true. When you have them do nice things for you, they like you more. Crazy. Here's an example of where vasopressin could be released. I bet you mess it up every time. Your man goes, where do you want to eat? You go, I don't know, you choose. But this is the perfect opportunity to give him a little task that he can do for you, accomplish that, and feel good. My first video, what did I say? Men do not fall in love through sex. They fall in love through the commitments they make and keep to you. So where do you want to eat? Pick two things. Oh, I don't know, babe. I would love to do either sushi or we could go get steak. Guess what? Now you have given the bait. Hey, here are two easy tasks you could do to make me happy. And when he picks one of them, he takes you to sushi. Oh my gosh, babe, I'm so happy. Tell him your feelings about that. Now you just triggered vasopressin, dopamine, testosterone, because you gave him a little task he could do for you. You let him complete it, and then you told him how happy that makes you. That's the other thing. Communicating with your feelings gives him that hormonal release that he did a good job. He completed a task. He's a big, strong man. You're not doing anything extra. I'm not saying lie, but how many times have they actually done something for you and you're like, oh, that makes me feel really good. That makes me feel really happy. Say that. That makes me feel happy. That makes me feel safe. That makes me feel protected. You want him to do more of that stuff? Say more of that stuff.
I'll repeat this in case a woman sees it. Men love to solve problems. It's in our instinct. If you want a relationship where a man remains masculine, then need your man and be grateful. It's simple. An easy example. Tell your man, love, I have this problem with this situation. What do you think I could do? I can assure you that man will give you ideas or say, I can do this for you. I guarantee he will keep that situation in mind, looking for solutions. He will call you if he thinks of something new or ask you throughout the day or when he gets home what you did about the situation, because that's how we are. We like to be useful and solve problems, especially for our woman. What does a man expect from you? Genuine gratitude, saying thanks, love. I was able to solve it thanks to what you told me. That will surely keep that man more attached to you, because women find it hard to be grateful. There are men who lose the desire to help, to be useful to their woman, simply because every time they've done something for her, it is received with little appreciation. It takes away the desire because women are tough on praise and bad at appreciating men. We see this in marriages where a man works for his family for 20 to 50 years and has never received sincere gratitude from his wife, but he receives many complaints. Need your man and be grateful. It's simple.
My God! Wow!
Hi! This is my new boyfriend.
Hey.
You're so funny. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Sorry we're late. There was tons of traffic on the way.
So much traffic. It's so LA.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, Nuki's told me a lot about you.
Oh, did she?
Was ist so lustig, ha? Was ist lustig?
What does that mean?
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we will talk about modern women's friendships, how a woman cannot let her guard down even with her friend around her man, and how friends tend to ruin their friends' healthy marriages by giving toxic advice. We want to invite you to smash that like button. Let's support the movement. Subscribe to the channel. That's the only contribution we ask of you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Leave us your experience in the comments for any man who needs it. And without further introduction, let's get started.
Her always complimenting him
little too much or just laughing like extra loud at his.
A friend that wants your man's attention is not a friend. Go watch that creator's entire video. This is why I always say, if you have a gut instinct that a woman is trying to get your husband's attention, your man's attention, just get rid of that friend. You don't want a friend like that, because even if you have the best husband in the world and he's just not paying attention, he'll walk away. You don't want a friend in your life that is going to disrespect you like that. Because if you go watch that creator's whole video, it started out as her friend complimenting her husband, laughing at his jokes a little too hard, telling her, oh my gosh, you're so lucky that you found him, to being in a bathing suit twerking while her husband was in the jacuzzi with them. Like, at that point, I'm dragging that girl out. Like, you're not going to disrespect me like that. But that's why I say, if you see a red flag in a woman, like she's showing signs of being interested in your man, you don't want a friend like that. Don't let it escalate. And I'm not saying it's that creator's fault, but I do think this is a really good cautionary tale of how women like that will escalate.
I want you to understand two things about this topic. First, women tend to be very competitive and territorial. That's why they tend to be more jealous than men. When they feel a threat, often that threat is close by, because not all friends are truly loyal. Because we all know that the worst enemy of a woman is another woman. Second, there is the concept of preselection. A man becomes more attractive when he is with a woman, especially if she is beautiful. Friends might flirt with their friend's boyfriend or husband, driven by envy and preselection. Many friends compete with each other and have similar tastes, even in men. And hearing firsthand everything you do for your woman attracts them more, because you meet the requirements they look for in a man, as you have already been approved by a woman. A married man tends to attract more attention because he doesn't look needy and appears confident. He is not easily distracted by other women. This is why if your woman has many single friends, there is a high chance your marriage could be ruined. And when it ends, it's common for the friend to be the first to flirt with you. And believe me, some like the ones described in this video do not hide it.
Why is Jason not allowed to be my Valentine this year, you ugly rat? Dude, calm down. Also, what the hell are you talking about? He's been my Valentine every single year until your insecure ass came into the picture. I know you're forcing him to stay away from me because you're threatened by our friendship. Actually, his girlfriend should be his only Valentine, and it was his idea to set boundaries with you. Boundaries? That's a funny word for insecure. I didn't know it was a crime to spend one night alone in a hotel room with my best friend. I've literally known him way longer than you guys have even been dating. It's not a crime, but it definitely makes me uncomfortable, especially because you told him you're wearing lingerie, which is really weird. How is that weird? He's seen me in way less clothing than that. If anything, I was being modest and respecting you. It's not my fault that I'm shaped like an Instagram model and you look like a sack of potatoes, asshole. Well, Jason must be attracted to potatoes then, because at the end of the day, he'd rather be with me and not you. No, that's just because you're a controlling bitch. Maybe if you loosened his leash a little bit, you know he'd come running to me and would choose me instead of you. Didn't he friend-zone you like a bunch of times? I'm pretty sure you guys would be dating if he was interested, just saying. Well, guess what, sweetheart? I don't see a ring on your finger, so I still have a lot of time. I promise he'll be spending Valentine's Day with me one way or another.
Stop it. Get some help.
This is what I call the simp woman of a Chad. Sometimes, a woman acts like a friend to a man, but she actually wants something more, while he only sees her as a friend. But don't be mistaken, gentlemen. Women know very well that friendships between men and women always have a bit of unresolved sexual tension. Women hate it when their partner has female friends because those friends can become his emotional refuge. Most women want to be that for their man. And of course, we all know the saying, firefighters don't step on each other's hoses. Women perfectly understand the tactics and manipulations used by other women. Additionally, those friends can open our eyes to things our partner does that we hadn't noticed. So when they see a friend getting too close, they perceive the danger before we do. Why do you think women hate it when we have female friends? They know those friends can be a real threat. And the first thing they will want to do is push them away from you because they see them as a direct threat to the relationship. And here's the funny part. Women never really trust other women. They just pretend out of courtesy. So remember, brothers, if your woman starts making faces when a friend gets too close, now you know why. It's not paranoia. It's pure defense strategy.
I will never understand why people get upset when their significant other is hit on. Like girls getting upset because other girls are looking at their man. And the same goes for guys. Personally, I want my man to be everyone's crush in the club. Like, I want everyone to have a crush on my man. Because he's fine. Like, duh, they're gonna, like, look at him and be like, damn. Like, I take that as a compliment. Like, I find so much entertainment from when my man walks away from me and goes to get a drink at the bar, and there's, like, a group of girls that's just, like, staring at him, like, they're, like, whispering at each other, like, which one's gonna go over there? Well, I just sit back and I'm like, yeah, I know. And, like, the sheer entertainment that I get from seeing my man's face when a girl does approach him and tells him something, and he's like, and then he walks over to me and hands me my drink and gives me a kiss, and all the girls are like, you wish that was you, huh? Like, what's the point of getting mad at that? I will never be that girl that goes up to a girl who's talking to my boyfriend and be like, excuse me, that's my man. I just sit back and wait for him to be like, oh yeah, that's my beautiful girlfriend over there. And for her to be like, oh my god, she's so pretty. Having a hot man is fun. The way I see it is that when people are hitting on my man, I'm winning. Like, I must be doing something right.
Oh my god! Wow!
A woman wants to be the queen of her man. She expects him to always give her her place. Confident women prefer a man who attracts other women, which is called pre-selection, and it makes them feel like they have the best male available. It's a primitive instinct, like in caveman times. When a woman sees others flirting with her man, she pays attention to his reaction. If he doesn't give her her place, there will be drama. But if he reaffirms her, she feels empowered and can look at the other girl with a bitch. He's mine look, knowing that she is one. This is so true that in some cultures, like Chinese culture, it's not frowned upon for a man to have a mistress, as long as he doesn't give her place to another woman or disrespect her in public. Male and female infidelity is not viewed the same way. A woman won't care as much about infidelity if the man brings a lot to the table and gives her her place. This may seem impossible in the West, but in other cultures, many women aren't bothered as long as they are the wife and receive their place and respect as such.
I've got that one friend that becomes overly flirty and different around my boyfriend. That's not a friend.
That is not a friend.
That's a hoe.
Like, that's for the streets.
No, you've got no time for this kind of people around you.
She a hoe.
Basically, you need to be careful about the kind of friends that you have around you and the people you have around you, right? Because, you know, them kind of girls that get overly excited about guys.
Yeah, and they're not even excited about guys. Anna, do you know what they're excited about?
Money.
No.
What?
They're excited about attention from guys. They love attention. They want to feel the sexiest, the prettiest, the most beautiful.
Girls like that need attention or they're attention seeking.
Yeah.
And I think you need to be careful, just like how we are with men and we call it red flags with men and we pick up signs on toxic, bad men. You should be able to pick up signs on toxic, bad friends.
Yeah, to be honest, I just keep my circle really small. And I don't want any of these friends, fake friends ever again in my life. Don't bring these hoes around me. Anna always tries to bring these kind of these hoes around me in my life. She's like, Mandy, new friend. Fuck off, keep her out of my life.
Because at that point when I'm doing it, I'm not thinking they would do something
Why?
wrong. And I'm just thinking, oh, they're fun, let's go out, let's have a good time. But then I've started to change now.
I'm not doing it anymore. If a girl even laughs differently around Gingerbeard, I'm slapping the laugh out of her face. Look, if it's someone that you can't trust to go, like, your boyfriend to drop them home at night, just them two, that's not your friend. That's just some hoa. She got to get.
As I said, the worst enemy of a woman is another woman. They are right in what they say. Women are addicted to attention. As I have explained, attention is the currency of men. When a woman sees that a friend has a man who is her type and this friend is attractive and has already pre-selected you, she tends to want to flirt with the man subtly and sometimes blatantly because she wants to show her friend that if she wants, she can take him from her. That's why I always wonder where the so-called solidarity among women is. That's why you often hear women say they don't have friends or that their friends are sisters or mothers. The reality is that many women don't completely trust other women. They prefer to keep their circles of friendship reduced to those they really consider safe. As a man, it's best to always respect your woman. It's essential to give her her place and not fall into the traps of the tension that other women might create. But it's true that sometimes there are friends who try to cross lines. The key is to be firm and clear in your boundaries. This is dangerous because it puts the man in an uncomfortable position. If you tell your woman, she might not believe you. That's why I always recommend having a man's lifesaver, a phone, and keeping evidence before going to your woman. If you go without proof, it's possible that all the blame will fall on you, and women are experts at playing the victim. So, be careful.
You know what really tickles my ick pickle? When my female friends say, so you're choosing your man over your friend. Sis, I'm choosing my man over everybody and everything, every single time, with the exception of my children. But even that has its limits. And before you guys call me a pick-me, just hear me out, right? Dating is for marriage, and marriage is death does us part. What do I look like committing the rest of my life to somebody I'm not making my top priority? Your friends will leave you for life or their own love. Your children will grow up and move on. Your siblings get their own life. Your parents eventually die. A job will replace you, and you can't take nothing with you. So what, if not love, should the top priority be? And before you say, but you're not married yet, correct. And I'm never going to get there if I don't make my partner my priority, or you shouldn't be doing wife things without wife benefits. This isn't a job. Albeit work, you don't get to show up to your marriage interview with a resume compiled of all your previously failed attempts, okay? Love is only proven by consistently showing your commitment to it. And if you prioritize everybody or everything over your man, it ain't gonna happen for you, sis. And please, spare me the, you tried it before, look how your last ex did you. I don't care. I am going to give it my all every single time until I get it right, because my love is my priority and nobody gets to tell me otherwise. Like, what are y'all really out here doing? For real.
A beer for this woman. She told the whole truth. What she said is what many don't want to admit, which is prioritizing their man. Many women let themselves be influenced by their single or divorced friends and their toxic advice. Believe me, brother, if you have a woman who has a divorced mother, a divorced sister, and all divorced friends, let me tell you that you are next. That influence is like a contagious disease that will cause symptoms in your marriage. Misery loves company. Why do you think you can never solve problems with your woman? Everything always becomes bigger than it really is. It's because she goes to the WhatsApp group and says what's happening, and the vipers, friends, come to give their humble advice, which is never in favor of the man. That's why when you meet a girl who is always on girls' trips, in clubs every week, and with a large group of single friends, something is wrong there. Their influence is not from healthy marriages, but from unstable women. The apple, unfortunately, doesn't fall far from the tree. If your woman hangs out with them, she might be the same, because if you walk with a limp, you eventually limp too. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Have you ever had problems with one of your wife's friends? When you have seen other women flirt with you in front of your wife, how has she reacted? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.